So, where do you go to get web reviews? I recommend godoats.org. It's a great place. They give you a lot of reputable bloggers that don't ask for money. They will accept promo codes. They may or may not review it, but it's a good list to start with. And give away your promo codes. Don't be stingy with them. You get 50 per version. Let people play your apps, especially bloggers. Let them give them free copies, and maybe they'll write about it. One of the best ways to get noticed is to be featured on iTunes. Now, there's no correct way to do this. I do have some general advice. My game Glowburst was featured multiple times, and it's really a good day when that happens. So Apple actually featured it when the iPad first released, so it was in the store before iPads were available. And so that helped a lot, and they featured it for supporting the iPad. And then when the iPhone 4 with the Retina display came out, I updated it. You could use the Retina display. Apple featured it again. And then Game Center was released in iOS 4.1, and I immediately supported that. Apple featured it again. So it's really good to support the latest and greatest stuff that Apple is putting out. And, of course, Glowburst was featured right next to Avatar, and it's just, where else could you get that done? I mean, my little app is featured next to a billion-dollar enterprise. So that's one of the cool things about iTunes. And, of course, having that kind of, being next to that, being in that feature category will shoot up your app, and you'll get a ton of downloads. The general advice I give you to be featured is to make Apple's device look and sound great. That is it. That's the secret. It's not really a secret. You think about it, this all came from the iPod anyway. They want to hear music in your game. They want to hear great sound effects. They want to see amazing graphics on that Retina display. Support all that stuff, and you might get the feature. Now, the other thing you should do is create a light version. Because think about that. You're allowed to publish as many apps as you want, which is great. BlackBerry charges you and gives you a certain amount. I think Microsoft does too. But they allow you to publish all the apps you want. Why not create light version? It's free advertising on iTunes, right? It's a way to give customers a chance to try out your features, to try out your game without having to pay. You could, of course, put advertising in them to generate revenue. You could use in-app purchase. You could promote the full version of your app. And that's certainly what I did with Glowburst. The light version promotes the full version. And it's really easy to do as a developer. You can actually just modify your project and create a new target. This is my light version, so with the same code base, you can just use pound defines and take out, some features of your app and say this is the light version. So that way you're not having to maintain two pieces of code, two different projects. Just keep it all in one. Real easy to do. And the last thing I want to talk about is how to advertise. If you have the cash to do it, it does work. I recommend first trying to earn some money with advertising. So put all the different ads, the different ad vendors in there. Use something like AdWhirl. AdWhirl is an aggregator that allows you to pull from any of the different ads out there, whether it's AdMob or iAd or Millennial Medium. So not everyone can give you a good fill rate. And what that means is you request an ad, you don't always get an ad. So the last thing you want to do is not show an ad. So you want to be able to go to multiple sources and increase your fill rates. So definitely use an aggregator like AdWhirl if you're going to put ads into your apps. Now, what I really like about AdMob is you can take that money that you've earned and you can transfer it from your publishing account into an advertising account. And on top of that, they're going to give you 20% bonus. So it's a really good program. And if you can start earning money with your free apps, it's a great way to then advertise your app and others. You can, of course, fund your account directly as well. I like doing the 20% transfer bonus if you have enough money saved up. I recommend only advertising the free apps. I've tried advertising paid apps. It just doesn't work. People don't want to pay for your app. They'll click on the ad. They may not even download the app if it's free, but you're going to get more downloads if it is free. The other thing is kind of a marketing thing is create multiple campaigns. Okay, so with AdMob, I could create one campaign, and maybe I think my slogan's the best I've ever, could think of, and it's all I want to do. Trust me, create multiple campaigns. If you're going to be spending your own money, it's good to try out different versions of your copy, different versions of your text. Change a few words, try different words. I'm going to talk about a campaign that I did in a second, and I created 10 different versions of an ad, and it was all over the board. It was all over the board as far as performance goes, and you need to be able to track performance when you're advertising. So, and I highly recommend do not spend money on advertising unless you are tracking downloads. And it's a little piece of code that you have to put into your app, and then you can track not only did someone click on this ad, but they also downloaded it. So it's very important. Always do that, because I will monitor all my campaigns, and if I'm paying too much for a download, I will shut that campaign down and go with my better running campaigns. And then after a couple days, I may be down to just my best performing campaign. And so that's the advice I give for that. There was a case study done by AdMob on one of my campaigns that I did. And I don't think you'll be lucky to get this cost per install, but I got it down to 20 cents. That means I'm paying 20 cents for every installation of my app. That's about as good as you're ever going to see. And I can't even get that today. I wish I could. But that campaign I run was so good, it pushed my light version all the way to number 3 in productivity. And so you can see the example here, maybe the popular game Paper Toss. I'm running ads in all these different apps. They click, it takes them to the App Store. They download the free version. Then when they got to the free version, I used in-house advertising to advertise the paid version of my application. And so I totally shouldn't, I was doing this with AdWorld. I could have put in random ads and made some revenue, but I wanted to promote the full version as well. Because I did that, I was able to push the full version all the way to the number 51 overall spot. So it's a case where I'm only advertising the free version, but I'm also getting the benefit of more downloads of the paid version. And so lastly, I want to talk about how to track sales, ranks, and reviews. It's very important once your game or app is in the store. You can use App Annie. It's a great way a free way to check your rankings in all the different countries around the world. The iPhone, the iPad store, even I think the Mac store is supported if you are registered and signed up to receive the sales and reviews tracking. And I use them. They also just recently added Android support. I will say this, though. As much as I really, really like App Annie, and they send you a great email every day, they say, this is how many downloads you've got, here are all your new reviews for all around for all the different countries, because honestly that would just take way too long to get that information. So it's invaluable what they provide, especially for free. And my advice to you, if you do use it, create a different iTunes account that only gives them access to your financials, not to be able to administer your applications. The last thing you want is your username and password getting leaked by some rogue employee, and the next thing you know, he deleted all your apps. That would be really bad. So only give them access to the sales records, not the ability to modify your apps in the store. Unfortunately, Android is supported. It's in beta, but there's no way yet that I can find that you have to give them the keys to the kingdom. So I don't really want to do that. So I haven't used Android yet. I've also heard that App Annie may be selling your information. So you may want to use a little bit of caution with App Annie. I still use them. I still like them. But these guys got to make money somehow. So I'm starting to question how they're making money. And if that is a concern of yours, I recommend AppViz 2, which is a Mac application. It'll actually download all your financial information locally, all your sales and reviews. It's only $50, and it gives you more or less the same thing. It's not quite as nice, but I use it as well. So those are the two services that I use in order to track sales and links and reviews. So I think that's very important, because you do want to know. You want to know if you're featured in Europe somewhere. You need to know that information, and that's what App Annie can certainly do. It can tell you if you're getting good downloads from a certain region. that's all I had today. Those are from 3 different topics from the book. Everything discussed here today is in the book and more. And so thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
So Todd, and both with writing the book, what kind of, actually specifically with writing the book, what kind of issues did you run into with Apple?
So one of the issues with writing a book about Apple is just we're under NDA a lot with Apple, and so I wanted to write about, when I first started it was an Xcode 3, but Xcode 4 was in beta and it was still under NDA, so I knew I wanted to make the book about Xcode 4. That was the future of their development platform. And so it was delayed a lot in order for me. The book was delayed just because I was waiting for that NDA to finally get released. And then, of course, iOS 5 was beta, and that was under NDA. And so I think that's a big issue with writing a book, especially about Apple, is they want to keep all that information. They don't want it getting out into the public. And so one of the other issue I had is literally a month before, it was early December, finally Xcode 4.1 was released, or 4.2, which we are now, although I think 4.3 is in beta. But I had to go back through the entire book and just redo everything because the application templates changed. And I wanted it to be, so when you create a new application, they changed a lot of the logic there, and stuff I was referring to no longer existed, and so it was quite a scramble near the end of the book. And I remember writing on Facebook, it's like the problem with writing a book is once it's finished, you got to go back and rewrite it all, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. Is I had to take new screenshots and rewrite a lot of the code examples. So, but the benefit being, it is the latest and greatest Xcode right now until the next version. No, I'm screwed.
Anyone? This is the open question and answer session.
Todd, 2 quick questions. First, you were talking about having a light version of your application along with the version. Do you advocate doing a single version which has only a free and in-app purchase is the only way to the ads, such development debate?
Yeah, and so if you didn't hear, the question was, do we still do this light full version model, which we had to do in the early days because there was no in-app purchase, but the light version, you could just release the free version and just go in-app purchase all the way. I don't know, I'm a little torn between, I think either model will work fine. I look at, you look at Temple Run right now, local developer in the area, he didn't do the light full model. He is just free only. It's the #1 app, so certainly it works. So that's a good model to have, and he's also one of the top grossing apps.